Hi, this is Ann Yorks from Flowerbox Bakery. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you the basics of airbrushing cookies. I love to airbrush cookies because it is a quick technique and can really transform a cookie design. Airbrushing is great for adding dimension to cookies. It can add a subtle kick of color. Airbrushing adds shine and beautiful shading. Plus, stenciling with an airbrush can add a pretty pattern and shimmer quickly. Stenciling can take an accent cookie and take it to the next level. Meet the Genie Pro. This is the airbrush system that I use and carry in my online shop, flowerboxbakery.com. The system comes in a cute pink tote bag. It includes the compressor unit, power supply, air hose, and 2 airbrush guns in a pouch. Having 2 guns comes in handy when doing multicolor projects or if you get a clog. I'm going to demonstrate airbrushing with this unit, but you can use these techniques with any system. To get started, connect the power supply, then connect the hose. There are 2 ends, a plain plastic end and one with a metal latch. The plastic end slides on the compressor. Give it a sturdy push to make sure it is on. The metal end clicks into the airbrush gun. Setting up is that quick and easy. Familiarize yourself with the trigger. It pulls back, and the harder you pull, the stronger the flow of air and color is released. The Genie turns on and off with a touch, and you can adjust the speed using the dial. I like to keep mine on low. The one thing I love about the Genie is that when you turn it off, the speed will stay the same as the last time you used it. Airbrush colors are different than food gel colors. They are thinner and liquidy so that they can flow through the needle. Practice with your airbrush on a plain piece of parchment before you jump to the cookie. I like to remember low and slow when airbrushing. Don't pulse the trigger, but rather for an even application of color, I use a smooth swiping motion. The closer you get to the surface of the cookie you are airbrushing, the more distinct the airbrush line becomes. I like a nice wide spray, so I keep the gun about 2 to 3 inches from the surface of the cookie. Let's get started on our first project, the Happy Carrot. I'm going to add just a couple of drops directly from the food color bottle. A little color goes a long way. We are going to add a pretty shine and some nice shading to this cookie. I am starting with a dry base, and I have used a light orange color so that I can see a dramatic result. I find it is sometimes hard to determine where the color will spray, so working outside in gives me the most control. I'm not rushing. I have the airbrush on low, and I am applying very little pressure to the trigger. I can always add more color if needed. I apply an even coating of color, working my way into the center of the cookie. Look at the difference between the airbrushed version and the non-airbrushed version. It's pretty amazing. Once the details are added, this cookie really comes to life. Now let's take a look at airbrushing cookies with a stencil. Because these are Easter cookies, I want a pastel color. I'm going to mix my pink Amaramus color with some pearl airbrush color to lighten it. I will give it a stir and, using a dropper, add the color to the well. I have some bunny cookies that I have flooded in white and allowed to dry. I love to use my Stencil Genie when airbrushing with stencils. It's a plastic frame that holds the stencil in place, keeping it from blowing around while I'm airbrushing. It also holds the stencil tight against the cookie to reduce underspray or blurring. Notice the angle of my airbrush gun. I am pointing it almost straight down at the cookie, practically a 90-degree angle so that the color shoots down and not across the stencil. This will reduce blowing color up under the stencil, resulting in a crisper and cleaner image. Also notice that I'm about 2 to 3 inches from the surface of the cookie. I'm holding light pressure on the gun as I spray very gently across and move down. I put the airbrush gun back in the holder, and I'm ready to reveal the pattern. I rock the Stencil Genie to the side to avoid smearing or smudging the color. Let's look at this chevron bunny. As much as possible, I like to follow the stencil, especially when working with anything with stripes. I apply the color in a horizontal motion, not vertical. Again, this will help reduce blowing color up under the stencil. How cute! For the last bunny, I'll use the narrow stripe stencil to create a pretty gingham pattern. This same concept can also be used to create plaid. First, I'll airbrush the horizontal stripes. Then I'll pick up and turn the Stencil Genie 90 degrees and airbrush the vertical stripes. Again, I'm following the stripe to reduce underspray. And there you have it, a quick and easy pattern. These cookies are almost done. I'm just going to pop on their tails. What a quick, easy, and colorful treat. Exploring with your airbrush has never been so fun. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and start adding dimension and shimmer to your cookies. You'll be amazed at what a subtle kick of color can do for your designs. Plus, you'll love stenciling with an airbrush, creating quick and easy accent cookies. For more tips, tutorials, and supplies, check out flowerboxbakery.com. Happy decorating!